Good morning, class. We're going to do our 8.2 notes today. So section 8.2 is about interior and exterior angles of a polygon. And so today we're just going to focus on those interior angles. So the first thing you're going to be doing in class is this worksheet. So this is going to be like a discovery activity so you can understand what's going on. So our worksheet starts out with a triangle. And so I'm going to write triangle here. And we know that a triangle has 3 sides, and we know that there's just one triangle formed, and we know that my angles inside my triangle, so these 3 angles here, we know that those add up to 180 degrees. And if it is a regular polygon, that means if all your sides and angles are equal, and I wanted to find the measure of just one angle, so this is going to be our one angle formula, I would take that 180 and I would divide it by 3, and so I would get 60 degrees. I'm going to do the first few rows with you. So the next one we have a quadrilateral, and I know this looks like a square, but remember it could be any kind of quadrilateral if it has 4 sides. It's a big word to fit in that blank. And I know that we have learned that a quadrilateral has 360 degrees inside. And I know that you know if it's a regular quadrilateral, so that would be a square, right? All sides, all angles equal. The way I would figure out the measure of each angle is I would do 360 divided by 4, which is 90. And you know that already. You know that all the angles of a square are 90 degrees. So an interesting thing to think about is if I start at this angle here and draw a diagonal through my square, let's pretend it's a straight line, it's split into 1, 2 triangles. And each triangle has 180 degrees. So another way of getting that 360 would be to do 180 times 2, because that square or that quadrilateral, whatever kind of shape it is, if it's got 4 sides, I can split it into 2 triangles. So let's go ahead and check the next one. So the important thing is when we're drawing these triangles, we're starting at just one vertex. So I could draw a triangle here and here. That's going to make 1, 2, 3 triangles on this one. So we have a 5-sided shape. We've got a pentagon. I'm drawing the triangles. I'm getting ahead of myself. And so we have 5 sides on the pentagon. We have 3 triangles. And the way we would figure out all of the angles inside is we would do 180 times 3, which is going to be 540 degrees. And then if I wanted to find an angle of a regular polygon, so if all the sides and angles of my pentagon were equal, I would have to do 540 divided by 5. And you would think that I would know where that is. Let me grab a calculator really fast over here. Okay, so that's going to be 108 degrees. So we'll do one more, and then you're going to be working on this yourself. So next we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, just making sure that they go right in order. So we have a hexagon. And we're going to try and split it up into triangles again. It's really important when we draw our triangles that we start from just one point. So like I'll draw a line here and then to the next vertex and to the next vertex. And then this one's too close, right? So it doesn't make a triangle again. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4 triangles. And so my angles would be 180 times 4, which is going to be 720 degrees. And then again, to find one angle, I would have to do 720 divided by hexagon, there's 6. And so I would get 120 degrees. So you're going to keep working on filling this out. So go ahead and pause the video right now. And then I'm going to do these really fast. So when you turn the video back on, you're going to see me doing them, working out these problems, right? But I'm not going to be narrating it anymore. So you're going to be doing the heptagon, octagon, nonagon, decagon, and then we're going to leave this last row together. We're going to look at the n-gon together. So that's going to be like basically coming up with a formula. So go ahead and pause now. So here's the rest of my worksheet here that I finished filling out. This one was a decimal, so I had to round it. You'll notice nonagon the first time I skipped a letter, and so I had to rewrite it. I was trying to do this in marker, so it was very easy to see, but if you make mistakes, you can't erase them. It's not like pencil. And now we want to go ahead and come up with some formulas here. So let's think about what's going on. If I have an n-gon, it's called an n-gon. But then how many sides do I have? Well, if it's an n-gon, that means by definition there's n sides. And then we want to think about the number of triangles formed. So let's look at the pattern here. If I have 7 sides, I've got 5 triangles. If there's 8 sides, I have 6 triangles. So it's always 2 less. So let's think about what that means in math. So we know number 2 in there, right? So we've got to think, are we adding, subtracting, multiplying, or dividing? Well, if I take 10 and I add 2, I certainly don't get to 8. I would need to subtract. So that's what that 2 less means. So if I have n sides, I'm going to have n minus 2 triangles. And then I know the way to get the number of degrees here is I take my number of triangles and I multiply that by 180. Or you could write the 180 first. Usually textbooks are going to write it this way. I know we've been writing 180 times on all of those. So you could reverse this. You could say 180 times n minus 2. But we have to take our number of triangles, which is 2 less than the sides, and we need to multiply that by 180 degrees because there's 180 in each triangle. So if we wanted to find the measure of just one angle, so that means we take all of our angles together, so that's the sum, and we're going to divide by how many sides slash angles, right? So like on this one, because it was an 8, I had to do 180 times 10 minus 8, but then when I divide to find one angle, I've got to go back and divide by this one. I have to divide by 10. So if I want to figure out this one, I would have to take my sum, and this is my sum, n minus 2 times 180. I would have to divide by how many angles and sides there were, which is n. So this would be over n. And so now we've got some formulas. So let's go back up to the top. I know we labeled this one the one angle formula already. So we've got that at the top. And this is going to be the sum of the interior angles. So we're going to write a big S and like a little subscript I there. So we're ready to go ahead and start on our notes now. So I'm going to go ahead and find my next page here. Let's see. There it is. So this is just going to give you like the problem types that we're going to be doing. So first we're going to copy over those formulas. So this was that n minus 2 times 180. And this is my SI formula. And let's remember that n is the number of sides. And then over here, one angle, well, I know I take this, divide by n, so n minus 2 times 180 divided by n. And so this is your one angle formula. So we've got our SI formula, we've got our one angle formula. And I wanted these like in another place. So you've got 2 different note sheets you could look at for this formula. So some of the problem types are going to be easy like this, where this is just saying find the sum of the measure of the interior angles. So we'll go ahead and count up our sides. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I could go back to my other page that I already did, but say I couldn't find that and all I had was this formula. Then I could do, well, if there's 7 sides, I could say n equals 7. And so 7 minus 2 times 180 is 5 times 180. And that's going to be 900 degrees. Same thing. Oh, nope, this one doesn't say the same thing, does it? It says to find the measure of one interior angle of a decagon. And I think this is really of a regular decagon. So we're going to assume that that's what she's trying to say here. So decagon has 10 sides. So again, you could look over at your paper that we already did, or you could say I have the formula right here. If there's 10 sides, then my n is going to equal 10. And we'll have 10 minus 2 times 180. That's all the angles together. And then we've got to divide by how many there are, which is 10. So then we'll have 8 times 180 divided by 10, which is 1,440 divided by 10, which is 144 degrees. So again, those notes that we did earlier are really valuable, right? I could just look at this and I could get some of these answers. Here's my 8 and my 10 right here, but we also have formulas. So on 3, they want us to find the measure of angle A. So what kind of a shape do we have here? We have 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 5 sides. And so I am going to look at my cheat sheet this time. So if I have a 5-sided figure, my angles are going to total up to 540 degrees. So that means angle B and C and D and E and A all together are going to make 540. So I'm going to add up all the angles I have. So 100, and we have a 130 and a 130, and this one means 90, right? So let's go ahead and add up all of those. Let's see, 6 and 9 is 15, 450. Okay, so all of those angles together make 450. So in order to find the measure of angle A, I would have to do all of them together, 540 minus 450. And so angle A is going to equal 90 degrees. So we can solve these just like we did with triangles and quadrilaterals. It's just now we have different totals for all of our angles. So instead of subtracting from 180 or 360, now we're subtracting from different numbers. Okay, this last one is a little bit tricky. It says given the interior angle sum, so interior angle sum, that's that SI, is 2,160 degrees. We want to classify it. That means, like, what is it called? Is it called a pentagon? Is it called an octagon? What's going on? So basically we're going to find n. So let's look at our formula. We have this formula, SI, so the sum of the interior angles is n minus 2 times 180. So we are going to put this number in for our sum, and then we're going to solve it for 180. Or sorry, solve it for n. So my first step, I could distribute, but if I divide the 180 out right away, it's going to make this formula a little bit easier to work with. So that would make just a 1 here. I'm left with n minus 2. And then on the other side, it's going to make a much smaller number. So when I divide that out, I get 12. So that means I need to still add 2 on both sides. And then 14 is equal to n. It wouldn't be incorrect. You could go back and you could distribute instead. And you could say, well, 180 times n, 180 times this. You could add stuff and then divide. That will work. But I really like dividing this out right away and getting a small number to work with. But if I distribute the 180, right, then everything's getting bigger because I'm multiplying by 180. So this is just my preference for solving. So you have a worksheet. Make sure you ask questions if you need them, and you can always refer back to this video.